You're listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
Welcome to Center of Light Radio with spiritual teacher, intuitive, musician, composer, and best-selling author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth, your host, Keith Anthony Blanchard.
Welcome to Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Strap in all ye spiritual astral knots as we launch for inner space. And today is going to be literally just that. I'm really keyed up about today's show. Heads up, in a few weeks from now, August 17th, I believe, Swamiji Biswayogi is going to be here. God Realized Man is going to be on the Center of Light Radio, and we're doing everything we can to make this interview up close and personal, right in front of your face. We're going to try to get this thing on a video stream, so heads up about that. That's coming down the pike. I've been doing a lot of work today getting guests for the future of Center Light Radio, and they're coming, they're contacting me, and I'm doing the bio, reading the bios, and everyone looks very, very powerful and very, very awesome. And I'm really excited about the future of Center of Light Radio. Make sure you visit Center of Light Radio website. There you will find links to everything that I do, all my creations. Also, make sure you jump seat from Center of Light. Go to KeithAnthonyBlanchard.com and download the free Anchoring Heaven on Earth audio meditation done by myself. Some really cool music, some stereo imaging happening, so I do suggest headphones. You can also go to dowhatyoulovethemovie.com. dowhatyoulovethemovie.com, A Path to Passionate Living. This movie is about my life. Well, it's really about you. It's about your life. How to empower you with the tools that you need so that you can create a life of effortless and easy bliss. Just living your passion. You know, there's a belief, at least in the stigma of this part of the world, that we can't do what we love, earn a comfortable living at it. That's a bunch of hogwash. Don't buy into the illusion. Trust me, I'm doing it. My guest is doing it. All my guests do it. That's why they're on the Center of Light Radio. That provides you with the tools and the power and the magic and everything you need just to become a blissful human being. Let's see, back to my notes again. I always have my notes, and I have a fantastic guest tonight, but I think I'm going to go more so note less. I'm going to let things just be a free dance. To call into the show, dial 888-919-2355, 888-919-2355. Remember, if you're not at home by your computer and you want to hear your favorite show, you can go to the App Store on your phone and download the Inception Radio Network app for free. Everything is at your fingertips. Chat room, listen live link, news, podcasts, and much more. There are many, many ways to connect to Center of Light Radio and Inception Radio Network for sure. Now it's time to get down to Center of Light Radio business. Tonight on the Center of Light, my guest is Azra Bertrand, and he and I will be discussing the womb of God, black holes, dark matter, and the quantum birth field. Was our universe created from a big bang or big birth? In this pivotal moment in history, we're beginning to experience a massive shift in collective consciousness propelled by new frequencies of cosmic energies that are bathing the earth as predicted by the Mayans and many other ancient peoples. My guest tonight, Azra Bertrand, MD, has spent 20 years immersed in the biology of healing with a degree in biochemistry from University of North Carolina, a medical degree from Duke University, holding a medical residency in California, and working at a top U.S. research facility studying how nurturing and love affects the neuro-endocrine system. He is now the pioneer of a powerful new healing process called soul medicine, dedicated to help awaken our powerful original biological blueprint, which is coded for us to embody profound states of love, vitality, and creativity, but is often, as he says, it's offline. Azra, welcome to Center of Light Radio.
Thank you, Keith.
I'm really keyed up about this topic. I'm a cosmos galactic kind of guy. Azra, I would like to dive right into it. Why don't you lead us off into this show?
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Keith. Well, I'm excited to be here tonight. This is a topic that is very dear to my heart and soul. And what we're really talking about tonight is the birth of a new cosmology. Now, cosmology is a creation story. It's the myth that really defines who we are as humans, where we come from, what are we doing here on this planet, where we go when we die, how our universe was created. And beyond that, it forms the boundaries of really everything we think is possible. What's possible, what's not possible. So in our current cosmology, it's really a scientific cosmology. And this is the cosmology that has defined the way that modern Western humans have thought for the past several hundred years. And this cosmology is in decline. Pardon me. It is in turbulence, and it is being rebirthed into something entirely new. And what we are calling that, what I'm calling that, my wife and I work together on this project, is a womb cosmology. So what that means is a cosmology that includes the feminine face of God, the feminine face of creation, and what you might call the feminine principles that underlie the existence of our physical universe. And so what I'm talking about here is really quite literally how our universe was birthed from the womb of a mother universe, and how intelligence guides this process. So the ancient shamans have always known this through direct shamanic communication and direct shamanic perception. And now modern quantum science and astrophysicists are essentially validating what our ancient ancestors knew and could once directly perceive.
Would it be fair to say that the unified field is always ready? And would it be fair to say that right now that it's somewhat hyper fertile? Would that be a true statement?
Yeah, that would be a true statement. It is hyper fertile. And what's happening now is that we're in a time of massive change. So it's a time of a paradigm shift, and new energies are literally pouring in. And this is something that's being documented by science and has been predicted by all kinds of different shamans and indigenous groups. And for example, the Mayans, the Mayans and their 2,000 years of incredibly precise astronomical and shamanic and astrological predictions said that on December solstice 2012, we were changing ages. It's the end of a 26,000-year cycle and the beginning of a new one, and quite literally a new birth. And that from the galactic center, from the black hole at the center of our galaxy, they would be emitting all kinds of frequencies of consciousness and actual physical energy that would change the nature of human consciousness for those who are ready. So that's one exciting piece of it. But yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very fertile universe at this moment.
Is what's happening with us, the changes, the upheavals, everything being brought to the top of the pot, so all the quote, not good stuff being scooped out, is it because of this hyper-fertile field, or are we triggering the field into such fertilization?
We are the field. We're a piece of the field, right?
That's the answer I was hoping
yeah.
of course.
Yeah, no, it's this incredible thing where the field informs us, yet we are a part of the field. So we're active participants in this.
So this is creating a feedback loop. It's curving within itself through us, and we are at the point to where we can actually become participants of riding such current. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this is the incredible, really, revolution that's happening in cosmology. So it used to be that the way we viewed the world, our creation stories, where in times of our indigenous ancestors, they didn't have anything to do with what we think of as modern science. They came from direct perception and actually direct participation in the universe. All humans used to feel that we lived in a participatory universe, that, as the Aboriginal Australian said, we dreamed the world into being. And at some point, we forgot the dream. We lost it. We lost touch with this. And this has been happening as a process over the past, say, 3,000 to 5,000 years, and particularly over the last 2,000 years. There's been a force that's come in that has separated us from this dreamtime dimension. Or as some people might call this a feminine dimension or a lunar dimension or a magical or enchanted dimension. And so now is the time when we are, as a collective, beginning to re-enter this dimension, those who are ready and those who make the choice. You have to make the choice. But for those who are ready, it's here now.
Azra, is a wormhole and a black hole the same thing?
They are related. They're related. And black holes are really at the center of the mystery. And here's the amazing thing about black holes. So let me tell you one thing that one of the most well-known physicists of the modern era said, and this man is named John Archibald Wheeler. So he was a physicist, a theoretical physicist at Princeton, who was the mentor to 5 Nobel Prize-winning physicists, including Richard Feynman and a bunch of others. And what he said is this: a black hole is the source of enlightenment. Now, notice he didn't say a black hole is the source of all these different physical phenomena, but he's using a word that's referring to a spiritual process. And so what does that mean? What's happening here? And it turns out that at a black hole, at the center of a black hole, all the known laws of physics completely collapse. And at the boundary of a black hole, which is called the event horizon in physics terms, it is a membrane of transformation. And so when we cross that, we transform. Now, at black holes, what they do is they lead us actually into a different universe or a different dimension of experience. And this is what the physicists are saying. So there's, everyone from Stephen Hawking to almost every prominent physicist is saying the same thing, that at black holes, we go from what we would consider the known universe into the mystery. And now a wormhole is related to a black hole, and that a wormhole is basically a huge rift or a bridge in space and time that would theoretically allow us to travel across space and time in ways that are faster than the speed of light, or go back or forward in time. And of course, we've seen this. For those who've seen the movie Interstellar, they talk about and they show an astronaut's journey, that the character Murph, they show his journey through a wormhole into a different section of the universe. And they also show his journey into a black hole, which is more than just a physical experience. It is a shamanic experience. And in this black hole, he accesses essentially mystical knowledge. He receives revelations of the nature of the universe, and then from that, he shares it with the world. He travels back in time and shares it with his daughter, and it saves the earth. And so the black hole is not just a physically incredible and anomalous energy, but on a spiritual and shamanic level, it really forms one of the most direct portals to the infinite. And so this has been recognized, obviously not just by all of the theoretical physicists and astrophysicists who are spending so much time and energy trying to investigate black holes, but by shamans, by humans for many thousands of years have known this and have felt this.
You have answered my question. I was going to lead in with next. So if the laws of physics collapse inside of a black hole, black holes could be considered portals or inlets to the God body, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's the big point here. And this is what's one of the most exciting things, is that for a long time, most people over the last several hundred years have really, whether they've known it or not, have bought into this idea that science has all the answers. That if you want facts, you have to prove it with the scientific method, and et cetera. And it is at black holes that science melts. It implodes. The event horizon of black holes literally swallows up science. It's the mother of science. Science didn't create black holes created science. And this is the astounding thing. So it's the portal where what we might consider physical reality begins to merge with the infinite, begins to merge with what you might call God consciousness or infinite consciousness or even consciousness. It is at this membrane where we begin to see a deeper level of reality that encompasses what we would call science, but also encompasses the spiritual science, and begins to share with us what we have known as humans, what our shamanic ancestors and what our most spiritually in touch ancestors have known for a long time. So this is a quote from Lao Tzu, and it's the Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet exhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds. It's like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. I don't know who gave birth to it. It's older than God. And so what we're talking about is black holes lead us to this incredible birthing portal. And now here's something that most people don't know about black holes, is that black holes give birth to stars. So in our own galaxy, so in the Milky Way galaxy, we are on a little spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, about 2/3 from the center. And in the middle is a supermassive black hole. When I say supermassive, I mean it has the mass of 4.3 million of our suns. All right, that's a massive body of energy. And this black hole is what, in terms of spiritual language, it's one of the most feminine, you might call the most feminine structures in the universe, and that it's completely receptive. It is completely magnetic. It draws everything to it. When something crosses the event horizon, whether it's light or matter or anything, it's drawn inexorably into the center. It cannot escape. But through that center, it's actually birthed out the other side into a new universe. And so there's this idea that on the other side of black holes, there may well be white holes that literally give birth to a new universe. And this is one piece of this thread of new knowledge that's been coming through the physics community over the last 20 or 30 years that completely undoes what we think we know about the universe. So in school, we're still taught about the standard model of cosmology and the Big Bang theory of creation. We're taught that this is a fact. Well, it turns out that physicists for the last 30 years have known this is complete rubbish. Right? So one of the men who helped create it and really put the backbone of the science behind it was Stephen Hawking. And he spent a long time trying to prove this Big Bang theory. And then about 20 years ago, so this is not recently, but 20 years ago, he said, you know what, guys, there is no way that it happened like this. And by the way, this theory that's supposed to explain the birth of the universe, you know what? It doesn't even start at the beginning. It starts partway through. It doesn't even try to explain what happened in the beginning because it can't. It completely falls on its face. It's fatally flawed.
I can see that clearly. As above, so below. You had mentioned that black holes are the place where the laws of physics collapse. Well, that being said, if we look within ourselves, if we can find that void, the empty space, we would reach the same place, because if the black hole is a inlet or a portal to God, that would be true for us as well. There's something from the divine principle I'd like to read. I think that the old paradigm scientists, they really didn't have much of a spirituality about them, just to say, per se. But I think that's all changing. This is from the divine principle, one of my communications with spirit. It is common knowledge that when astronomers and other scientists look into deep space to study cosmic occurrences, they are witnessing light from events that actually took place long ago. All their high-tech equipment might help prove some of their theories, but without inner vision, these experts will stay unaware of what is presently taking place throughout the universe. As long as they remain in a spiritually myopic state, they will not be able to harness the power that true cosmic knowledge can bring. On the other hand, spiritualists, shamans, and the like understand that light is the product of a pure, enlightened consciousness, and so they dedicate their lives to achieving just that. The more they develop themselves and begin to consciously connect to the omnipresent spirit, the more they are able to witness the grandeur of the universe here and now. And I asked the question to spirit, so are you saying that light has no velocity? None whatsoever. Light is everywhere at all times, or no time, should I say, just like a hologram. The whole is inherent in every fragment of light throughout the entire cosmos. You might say that God cosmosis is taking place everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And that's exactly true. And that's exactly what the most modern science and quantum science in particular proves, is that everything is interconnected. There is no such thing as separation. Or in the language of physics, is that we are all entangled. Or another way of saying that is what happens to one of us affects all of us. It's like this incredible cosmic web, a little bit like a spider web. When there's a vibration, and one part of it, it's felt. It ripples throughout the whole. And that's exactly true.
What about dark matter? Let's talk about dark matter. I love, I've seen it on social media recently, this post that's been floating around. They show gray matter, and then they show dark matter, and they look so identical.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's incredible to see this. And this is one of the things that we're really beginning to see, how our universe is intelligent. It's an intelligent evolutionary superorganism. And when you look at the vast cosmic superstructure, and when I say superstructure, what I mean is the architecture of the universe, how galaxies are clustered together, how things are arranged on the grandest scale, what you see are these incredible filaments of light and particles and these nodes of galaxies that look exactly like a neuronal network or a neural network of the brain. So if you look at a microscopic slide of our neurons in our brain, it's almost indistinguishable, really, unless you are
literally.
It is indistinguishable. I mean, incredible to see that. And what you see, as above, so below, you see a holographic representation that passes through all the levels from the very tiny to the massive. And you see this incredible, what's called a fine-tuning, an incredible fine-tuning or a coherence that exists through everything. And this coherence is so improbable that it could have happened by random chance. That another very famous scientist, theoretical physicist named Carl Penrose, calculated that the odds that this, Roger Penrose calculated the odds that this could happen by chance is a number that's 10 to the 10 to the 123. It's a number that's so big that you couldn't encounter it one time in a billion universes, that it could have happened by chance. There is an intelligent, synchronized process that's guiding all of it. And this is one of the big revolutions in cosmology at the moment, is that it's the standard model of cosmology and really the standard model of science was what's been taught to us for the last several hundred years, is that there is no intelligence or consciousness in matter. There's no spirit or purpose, that a human being, just like a star, can be defined solely by its physical presence, and that consciousness is essentially make-believe. This is what science most science, until very recent science, has been saying for such a long time. But now modern science is beginning to prove without any kind of a doubt that, well, there's something else happening here. So it's really not, it's not a big bang. There's this idea that the universe was created in this explosion that had no consciousness is being really just doesn't fit the available data now. So what birthed the Big Bang? What does science have to say about this? All right, so it's incredible to see how many scientists are now saying and pulling out the evidence that, wow, our universe seems to have been born from a mother universe. That our universe is the daughter or son of a mother universe, and that we actually inherited our properties through our mother. So in cosmologic terms, we have a mother, and our universe was actually birthed through the black hole of our mother universe. So the black hole was like her womb that gave birth to this universe. And this is occurring not just in a physical way, but like you said, all of us have access to this black hole. So this being able to cross this threshold and enter into a different dimensional space. It's not just out there, but it's within us.
I'm getting high over here. I mean, my body is literally jazzed up because of my passion for this subject. Yeah, I can't see it being any other way. As above, so below. I just don't think that it's not even conceivable. It's very difficult. It seems difficult that it's hard for us to imagine that the infinity of everything, that there was no really beginning, there is no end. Azra, do you think that when this local universe is birthed from a mother universe, there is some sort of energy release, explosion, to use a word, as to why it was ever considered to be a Big Bang?
Yeah. So the Big Bang describes a process that is magical and enchanting, and it describes it in a very kind of a simplistic way, like it's some kind of an explosion, like a bomb going off or something. But I find it's easier and a more compelling to see it as a incredible growth and development. And so if you can imagine what
I don't mean to interrupt you, sir. Thank you very, very much. You helped my feeble mind, because I was just sharing with you, it can be a challenge to grasp the infinity of everything. And as you explained it to me that way, I was able to grasp it. It's not really, if we can take our minds away from the explosion of it all and see it more as an unfoldment, a growth process, an expansion, it changes the tonality of it completely.
Yeah, exactly. And really, that's what's happening here, because the way we perceive the world determines what we create in the world. And so our creation story is no small thing. Our cosmology is no small thing. And so when we view this as, wow, we come from this incredible mother universe that gave birth to our universe, just like our bodies are born from this incredible mother Gaia. Our earth is our mother. This universe is our mother. We were born from this magical and mysterious womb. And here we are in the womb, just living in this incredible womb of earth and in the womb of God, and going along on our journeys. And when our time comes that we leave this incarnation, we actually return back to this great womb. And this is what the Mayans said as well. So they called the galactic center, the enormous black hole at the galactic center that they've known about for at least 1,500 years, but most likely many thousands of years even before that. They call it Hunab Ku, or it's also sometimes known as the galactic butterfly, the center of transformation. So the butterfly is a metaphor for transformation or transfiguration, how the caterpillar is enfolded into this womb cocoon. And when a certain magical, mysterious process begins, it leads to this incredible rebirth, and the creature becomes something new and takes flight. And so, and this process was seen by the Mayans to happen through the black hole at the center of the universe. or not the universe, rather of the galaxy, of the Milky Way galaxy. And not only they considered, and so in their cosmology, they considered that all the planets and all the stars in our galaxy were born from the galactic center. And that's what science says today. Science says is that this black hole is giving birth to stars, is giving birth to planets. And they also felt that when our time came to die, we would spiritually and shamanically travel through this great womb, or great vulva, they also considered it to be a vulva, and back into the great cosmic mother. And when you look up at the night sky, if you look up, if it's a very clear night and if you're away from light pollution, you can see the Milky Way, and you can see there's this dark channel in the middle of it that actually visually resembles a vulva. And so to the Mayans, this was how we returned back to the great mother.
We were speaking about black holes, speaking about the divine or cosmic womb, and we're also speaking a lot about mother. Everyone who listens to this program, excuse me, knows that for 4 years I was able to hang out with an alien human hybrid by the name of Nucleus 8. And I've had the most amazing experiences with this being, who's 4,700, probably 40 years old by now. But when he would be present in the body of Star One, he shares these most amazing tidbits, these juicy morsels about the cosmos. And he told me that in his species, there are beings called mother. And these beings called mother, they have the ability to literally pull you into themselves and have you launched to an entire new universe. So this truly coalesces and parallels with everything Nucleus has been telling me about mother, that they have this ability just to take you in themselves, and you get to experience an entire universe. Very, very cool. Azra, we were at the bottom. Go ahead, sir. Please continue.
Well, look, I just have to say this, Keith, is that, so what you're describing is a process that the ancients called horesis. Okay, so the word hor, H-O-R, originally meant womb, and it's where the derogatory term whore comes from today, but also goddesses like Hera and the word Hara, the Japanese word for the center of our being, they all come from this word hor or har. And so there was a term called horesis, which meant enlightenment by being engulfed in the womb or being engulfed in the mother. And so this was recognized how men and women could most easily and readily achieve enlightenment or awakening.
Wow. This is going to be lingering with me for the next week. Azra, we are at the bottom of the hour. Would you give out your contact information to you and I's listening audience so they can find you and more about the awesome work that you do? And listening audience, he does many, many things, and he does them all with absolute sweetness and perfection. Tell us how we can find more about you and your work, sir.
So you can reach us, my wife and I, in the Fountain of Life Grail Mystery School at www.thefountain of life. And here you'll find CDs and online courses and books that are forthcoming, many things.
Have you seen the post that's floating around the social media? It's a picture of the light at the end of the tunnel, supposedly when we pass to the other side. And next to it is a picture of the supposed coming out of the birth canal. And the question is posed, when you die, or you just reborn, is the light basically the hospital room where you are being born again?
Yeah, exactly. And so this is what the ancient Egyptians thought. This is what all of the indigenous people thought, is that what we consider death in this dimension is actually a rebirth into an incredible dimension. And this is written about by almost every ancient cosmology. It's written about by modern psychonauts and cosmonauts. And a really beautiful book that I like is called Proof of Heaven by Dr. Eben Alexander, neurosurgeon, Harvard neurosurgeon and researcher, who wrote about his journey to to what he called the great Om, or to the what felt like a feminine, maternal, loving energy on the other side, and his great birth into that. So yeah, absolutely. It's where, we birth from one phase into another.
And every day we are reborn. Every day. We're not the same person yesterday. We expand. I guess we get closer to our own event horizon. And nothing can escape the event horizon. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. Once you cross the membrane of metamorphosis or the membrane of transformation, you can't go back. And that's whether you're in a physical cosmology sense, the things that cross this event horizon in a black hole can never come back. They do get birthed out into something new, but they can't come back and be the same thing they were before. And spiritually or shamanically, it's the same. When we have an awakening or a rebirth or some kind of a spiritual transformation, we cannot go back and be the person we were before. Absolutely.
So can you give me, how does this all work? Black holes, dark matter, the quantum field. What is the dance between all this majesty and light and infinite potential?
I love that word, majesty. And that's,
yeah, it's very majesty.
Yeah, that's really what we're talking about. All right. Yeah. And so here's what particle physics says. Here's what quantum physics and the quantum field theory says, is that at the root of everything, there is this quantum vacuum or 0-point field, or something that I call the quantum birthing field, that out of this great sea, this great, dark, magical, majestic, mysterious sea, everything emerges. So all of the things that we think of as real substantial matter, all the particles that make up our bodies, actually poof in and out of existence all the time out of this great ocean of consciousness. And so this is the same idea that of Brahma that the ancient Vedic sages spoke about, a long time ago, thousands of years ago. There's this enormous unmanifest, and they often described it as a void or dark or mysterious, a little bit like the womb that we gestated in physically. And it's from this unknowable, undefinable place where all the laws of physics break down, that everything is born. And so one of the things, the scientists who have actually studied this, who have really gone for it, the real groundbreaking scientists, most of them have in the process become mystics. So you can say this of Albert Einstein, you can say this of Niels Bohr and Max Planck and so many others, is when they look at this, they start to peer through science, and at the very base of it, they start to encounter what they would call the face of the mystery or the face of God. And so this quantum birthing field or the quantum vacuum is one of those majestic places where the manifest, or what we might call the explicate, obvious physical material world arises out of this incredible birthing void. So it's a great birther. All right. And you asked about dark matter and black holes. And when you're ready, I'll tell you how they're all related, because they're...
I don't know if I'm ready.
Get ready.
I'm still trying to chew on this everlasting gobstopper that you've been giving me.
Well, get ready for this, all right? So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you something about black holes and dark matter that's really astounding. And so our universe, so the superstructure of our universe is held together, orchestrated, and organized by dark matter and black holes. It does it all. It pulls it all together, and dark matter is everywhere in a sense. It's everywhere and nowhere. And
would you say it's more prevalent than actual matter?
Well, astoundingly more prevalent than actual matter. And this
it's all the empty space.
Let me tell you a couple of things these are a couple of facts that everybody really needs to understand. All right, and the first is actually a quote by a brilliant cell biologist named Rupert Sheldrake. So he was a former department chair at Cambridge University, Royal Society member, a top-notch scientist. And here's what he says: the biggest scientific delusion is that science already knows the answers, that the fundamental questions are already settled. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to share is that science, as we know it, the top theoretical physicists, the head of the all the academies, can only account for 4% of the matter and energy in the universe. The rest, the other 96%, is simply missing. So science cannot find it, can't locate it, can't describe it, can't explain what it is. It can only infer its existence by the effects that it causes to everything around it. And that's really what dark matter is. And dark matter really is like, dark matter are the filaments, or if you think of the universe as an enormous web. And this is really a great way to think about it, because the superstructure of the universe is organized in some ways like a web. And at nodes where the different filaments or strands of the web cross each other are galaxies where there's an enormous black hole at the center. So the dark matter are these enormous highways of communication and organization that lead to the black holes at the center. And when you begin to touch either dark matter or black holes, you begin to touch the mystery. And when I say you begin to touch the mystery, one of the things I mean by that is you begin to slip from physical science into a realm of spirituality or consciousness or multidimensional intelligence. And this is the thing, Keith, that's going to blow your mind, and probably a lot of people.
You're going to have to give me a moment to catch my breath.
Yeah. Well, here it is. So the thing about black holes and dark matter is that they are trying to communicate with us. They are living, intelligent beings trying to get a message to us, trying to communicate, just like in the movie Interstellar, and in not too different a way than in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, where this astronaut goes into deep space and meets this incredible super-dimensional consciousness and expands into this vast new state of awareness. Well, this is what black holes and dark matter are. They're trying to share this with us. They're knocking on our door. They're waiting for us to open our shamanic channels of communication and speak with them directly, just like all of our ancestors did for thousands of years in ancient Egypt and the Mayan lands, and the European indigenous shamans did the same thing. We see the same kinds of connections in the megalithic structures, stone structures, and the British Isles. We're talking about direct communication with a super consciousness that exists in stars and black holes and dark matter. It's incredible.
From the chat room, Sky33, I'm no kidding, I'm sitting here and I had a question for you, or an analogy. We're talking about dark matter. And then the question I was going to bring up, I look in the chat room and we are on the same page. Would dark matter be considered the glue that holds everything into place? Because it's the empty space between all matter. So it would be the glue. Would you? Yes?
Yeah, exactly. So dark matter is like the glue that holds the structure of the universe together. And black holes are like the birthing portal, or the birthing center that births.
I get it. I'm starting to really, really grasp this, dude.
And one more. I'm going to take you one step further. And it's this, is that dark matter and this consciousness that it represents responds to our desires, to our deep, sincere desires, and reflects back to us what we desire. So it is an active, dynamic principle. Now, some people have called this the divine matrix. Matrix being another word for womb. So in Spanish, the word for womb is matriz, or matrix. It's also a closely related word to matter or mother. So it is the divine matrix, the divine womb, the divine mother, who actually responds to our desires. So this is not some impersonal force that has no care or concern for us, but it's very responsive. So be careful what you actually wish for.
So these star fields, these stellar fields, being that they are conscious, they're just incubators waiting to happen. And they've been doing this, again, we have to collapse the laws of physics. This is beyond time. It is what it is. It just is, and has always been and will always be. Constantly expanding, folding into itself, expanding, creating new expressions of itself.
Yeah, exactly. So let me tell you something Albert Einstein said once. The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. And it's at these portals of dark matter and black holes and at the quantum birthing field or the quantum vacuum that we reach these places where we can actually travel forward in time or backwards in time or across distances faster than the speed of light. And this was what was portrayed in the movie Interstellar, which if for listeners who haven't seen this movie, it's a great movie. It really gives you some insight, gives you a visual, physical picture of what this might look like. And this is the actual reality. So what we see in the world and perceive, what most people see and perceive in the world is a three-dimensional world. However, what Einstein began to describe was a fourth-dimensional world, where space and time are enfolded in this vast topography that's all around us, but we can't actually perceive it. But there's even further dimensions of awareness and consciousness that are simply waiting for us to perceive. And all of this is happening around this very beautiful, majestic, mysterious phenomena that are the black holes, the dark matter, the quantum vacuum or quantum birthing field. This is where all of this is happening. Now, in the what would be called the macroscopic world or the world of everyday reality, someone throws a baseball at you, you whack it with a bat. It's a predictable thing. It goes a certain distance and speed depending on how far you hit it or how hard you hit it. But above that and below that and all around that is something infinite and vast that's really available to us when we wish to touch it.
Have you experienced the void, Azra, that we're talking about? Some years ago, during sleep, I became very hyper-conscious. And so much so that I knew a gazillion or so miles down there on the bed was the body, the identity I knew as Keith Blanchard. And I find myself in this absolute darkness, this absolute void. And there was this profound stillness. And I use the word darkness, but in this darkness, there was an illumination. And that illumination was my own awareness. And in so knowing that, I had to be careful with my push. I wanted to send the little Keith down there on the earth bed some well wishes. And so I just sent myself an inkling of support. Have you experienced such a place in meditations or your spiritual travels, be it out-of-body experiences or your nightly excursions?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is something that anyone who's on a spiritual journey is going to experience this in some way, shape, and form. And depending on how far you're willing to go, it depends on how deeply you experience. Or another way of saying this is that there are spirals of experience. And so the journey doesn't end. It's not like you've touched the void and you know everything to know about it. It's something that you can keep going back to. And yeah, absolutely. So in my own way, in my own journeys, I have touched the void in different ways and in different moments. And some of them have been, mini voids. And this is something that all of us experience. One of the things you said is that, look, we're born again every day. And that's really true, because when we sleep at a neurologic level, we actually dive deep into the womb of our brain. So we leave what would be called the masculine cerebral cortex consciousness, and we dive deep into the back brain and hind brain, which is projecting up the infinite and the world of dream time and of magic into our consciousness. And so when you're aware of your dreams and when you're going into this place, well, every night actually we can enter a kind of deep, magical, mystical state. And in my own journeys, I'll say that, yes, through meditation, through sometimes deep emotional release, through different kinds of toning and breath work, and through sacred union with my partner, and through all kinds of different ways, I've touched this place in different degrees and in really different capacities. And for me, in my own personal journey, it's been through the container of sacred relationship that I've had the greatest melt-throughs into these places and have actually traveled dimensionally, and be that to different black holes and stars and in different places. It's really been the greatest for me. That's been the greatest source of or bridge to touching the void.
And that brings me to a very good point. When we're in sacred relationships and you have a partner that you have sexual activity, we are literally entering the womb. And I can understand how we would experience such grandeur, such majesty, if one chooses or finds a way in, so to speak, within themselves. But also it's a metaphor for allowing yourself to experience that within yourself, to move out of the blocks or move through the blocks through said experience. Yes, Azra?
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is something that really has been forgotten in the modern, what would be called more modern masculine religious and spiritual traditions. And this includes everything from Christianity, Judaism, Islam, to the ascetic practices of many of the forms of Buddhism, which promote enlightenment through being on your own and meditating in a deep place. Well, several thousand years ago, the most readily accessed and the most well-known and well-taught way to reach these states of awakening and enlightenment was through sacred union with our partner. And it's these mysteries that are at the heart of all of what's called the mystery schools, and all of the secret societies back from the days of the Egyptian alchemy to the now what would sometimes be considered dubious world of the alchemists and Rosicrucians and Hermeticists and what would be called Western magician mystery schools. Well, originally at that, and still even in the secret, the highest orders and the most secret rites of these mystery schools is that it's through sacred sexual union and not just the physical act of sexuality, but deep heart soul merging, that we can achieve the most profound states of union and enlightenment and awakening. And this was literally called the Great Work by the alchemists. So it's a long-standing tradition that's really had to go underground the last several thousand years and is now emerging again.
Wow, I feel so bloated. I feel full. When I was in India, Azra, I was there for 2 weeks, and a week would have done it. When I left, I was so impregnated with information. I feel the same thing now. We are slowly but surely coming to the top of the hour, sadly. Azra, give it to me, man. What do you have? Give me some more about the quantum birth field, black holes, and dark matter, that we can understand how this all works together. In other words, what is it that is important for us as the listening audience to know that we can use that would better our lives, other than just the wow factor of how grand and majestic the universe is? How does this play an important role in our lives?
So here's what I would say, is that each of us, everyone who's listening to this in this moment, has the opportunity and chance to rewrite their story, to rewrite their cosmology, and to open into a different reality. And from this place, to birth new possibilities. And that's really what it's all about. And so what we're talking about really is re-enchanting the universe. And I'm going to share a little story with you. And this is a story from the Kogi people of Colombia, who were featured in a beautiful documentary movie called, From the Heart of the World, I think it's the name of it. And so this is a group of people, indigenous people in Colombia and South America, who have one of the most intact cosmologies that really encompasses all of this. And so here's what they said. Here's their story about how the universe worked. In the beginning, there was blackness. Only the great dark sea. In the beginning, there were no plants and no animals, only the sea. And the sea was the mother. She was not a person. She was nothing, nothing at all. But she was when she was, and she was that she was. She was memory and possibility. She was a Luna. The mother conceived the world in darkness. She conceived us as ideas, spinning us all in the story, creating us all in thought. And then came the light, and the world was real. And so this is the creation story of the Kogi. And we've spoken. Yeah, go ahead.
I loved the contrast, memory and possibility.
Exactly.
It's full circle.
It's full circle. And so those two words, memory and possibility, is really what we're all doing here. So everyone who's listening to the show was drawn here for some reason. And that reason is to remember something. So all of these ideas and concepts, they're not something that's outside of us. They're something that we can access and we can know deep within us. We can remember this because we all have access to this incredible cosmic library of the Akashic field or the quantum birthing field. That exists within us. So we've come here to remember, and we've come here to open to new possibilities. And really that's what we're doing. That's what it's all about.
What I'm left with in this moment is, other than bliss and this high-level energy buzz literally going through my body, is what happened to me shortly ago was the realization that, we're of the perspective that we're here and the cosmos is there. What this is truly anchored within me is that, though I've always known it, but I'm feeling it, it's tangible, it's palpable for me now, is that it is us. And when we begin to think, feel, be from the ratio, from the broadness, from the perspective of such grandeur and majesty, we can make a really profound difference, not only within ourselves, for ourselves, but for the entire world and for this entire galaxy and so forth and so on, and begin the feedback curving within the self, the cosmic self, through the individual self. The expansion that takes place is just amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what if it was true that once upon a time, the indigenous elders and dreamtime wisdom keepers knew the minds of plants, the songs of whales, knew the dreaming of Gaia and the message of the stars, and knew that our cosmos was birthed from the fertile belly of another cosmos, wombs nested within wombs, nested within wombs, like Russian dolls? What if it is true that our ancient mothers and fathers, the wild shamanic psychonauts, and original scientists of unconscious mind, directly perceived what is invisible to us now, that they knew the universe to be a great womb, a cosmic mother, a vast birther, pregnant with infinite possibilities, a dark, faceless void, but not an empty one, rather a plenum than a vacuum, of fullness more than an emptiness, humming with the frequencies and music of love.
Center of Light Radio audience, Mr. Azra Bertrand here tonight on the show. Azra, thank you for the enlightenment, the fulfillment, the bliss, and the electrical charge. You are welcome here anytime, sir.
Thank you, Keith.
Would you give out your contact information once again, sir?
Yeah, to reach me, go to www.thefountainoflife.org.
Again, my dear friend, please tell Sarah hello for me, and have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thank you. Everyone, Azra Bertrand, what a phenomenal show. Oh my God. I think I'm probably going to have a soul excursion tonight from all this energy that's latent within me right now. Next week, how you like this? Talk about alignment. Next week, my guest is going to be John Robinson, Dr. John Robinson, and we're going to be talking about the magic and the grace of aging. I interviewed this gentleman last year. It was just truly amazing to me how, since you were here tonight, if you definitely please come back next week, you will see the parallel between these two shows, but in a very different way. And hopefully the knowledge that you glean from listening to these shows is going to expand you forevermore. Also remember, in a few weeks, in August, mid-August, Swamiji Viswayogi is going to be here. God realized man. Maybe we can play with some of these ideas as well, and he can actually fill in some of the other gaps. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing to ask a godly realized man to fill in some of the dark matter, the empty space of the conversation that took place here tonight on Center of Light Radio? I appreciate you all. Tell those that you love, those that you really care about Center of Light Radio here every Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Remember, when you lay down at night and you have nothing to do, you might as well be doing something. So breathe that desiring breath for God, for yourself, that which makes the most sense to you, that which makes you blissful. Breathe from that perspective and watch what happens to not only your sleep, but to your life. Again, my name is Keith Anthony Blanchard, Center of Light Radio. Always remember to spread the light and ease into bliss. Good evening.